if we're still very early in the adoption cycle of this new technology. I mean, despite ETF issuers being approved, not a lot of institutions have wanted to go into it. They've been conservative. They're waiting regulatory clarity. They want clear rules for the road.
But it's still in their mix of offerings, right? I mean, I'm talking about, let's say, investment firms that used to sort of skew all of this, or now it's in their list of offerings.
But they're early. They're early. I mean, if you look at the registered investment advisor market, they're now talking about getting crypto exposure, and that's a multi-trillion market, one that Robinhood is entering as well. Corporates, you're starting to hear more about companies putting Bitcoin and crypto assets in their treasury and on the balance sheet. You have talk of a Bitcoin strategic reserve held by the U.S. government.
Devoted to this. I mean, that would be a game changer.
Yeah, and if that were to happen, other countries would surely follow suit. And the argument is, if it is like gold, as Jerome Powell said, we have a gold strategic reserve. Why not contemplate diversifying that into cryptocurrencies? But I think the larger point is, this is at the frontier of innovation in financial services. It's not just a tradable asset, but it's the next evolution of infrastructure, like how we went from mainframe to on-premise to cloud. Blockchain and crypto is the next step in that. And the question is, do we want the U.S. to be a leader?
That, ladies and gentlemen, is Robinhood's, or was Robinhood's CEO, talking about the fact that crypto adoption is here and it's going to continue to come on in a big, big way. He spoke about a number of things there. Was the US creating and facilitating a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which of course I think is very likely. We've covered it a lot on this channel. And we've also covered the fact that there's going to be an arms race globally in regards to actually harnessing this technology to maintain a global front, if that makes sense, for nations around the world. Even yesterday, we looked at the fact that Britain, although I'm exceptionally doubtful, given the current government that we have, is likely going to look to compete with America to try and make Britain the crypto hub. Good luck. So I just wanted to play that clip. It's always good to start off with a nice bullish clip. Robinhood CEO. Robinhood's a stock that actually we're doing quite well on. Talking about this industry more broadly. And it's going to tie in very nicely with what we have to cover also in this daily market update. And to kick things off, let's get the bad news out of the way of. And that is the fact that it looks like we have 2 of the 5 Solana ETF filings actually being rejected by the SEC. Now, open for discussion rejected essentially just means that they're reviewing them. They've reviewed them. They didn't think they quite met the criteria. They're likely going to have another go. We'll talk about what we're seeing with Ethereum and how we're seeing a shift from institutional investors into Ethereum, which is really the first altcoin that captures that money, and then actually it's going to flow to the altcoin sector once we have. And remember, we still got the prior SEC in charge right now under Gary Gensler. But once we have that new accommodative headed by Paul Atkins SEC, you're going to see a basket of crypto products open up and that institutional flow really unlock. And we're already seeing that institutional appetite for altcoins start to gain momentum. But this is a scoop. This is from Eleanor Terrett, who's, of course, from Fox Business. I've confirmed that the SEC has notified at least 2 of the 5 prospective issuers that it will reject their B or 19B4. You see the dyslexic can be putting the B before the 4 there, or the 19 again. Filing for the Sol Spot ETFs. The consensus here, I'm told, is that the SEC won't entertain any new crypto ETFs under the current administration. What you have there is Gensler throwing his rattles out the pram. He has got to be, probably if you're into crypto, one of the most hated individuals. I mean, he's literally cost Americans millions and millions of dollars at this point and actually saved nobody from this industry. He basically enabled Sam Bankman-Fried. I truly do believe that. And the SEC largely stood by and watched that to happen so that it would happen and then they could step in and kind of grab as much land for the agency as possible. There's a comment under here that's interesting that I'm going to read also. It says 2 out of 5, so odds are not that bad. At least 1 could get approved if all delayed. It's likely if 1's approved, the majority are going to approve, and he clearly didn't read the second part to Eleanor's tweet. The SEC won't approve just 1 or a couple and not the others. Remember the Bitcoin ETFs. 11 launched on the same day. Yeah, so very unlikely that you're going to see a Solana ETF whilst this government is in charge. And actually all that's doing is postponing the absolute wall of money that's going to flow into the altcoins that we're already starting to see, which is going to bring me perfectly on to the next topic that I have for you. This is from Lark Davidson. somebody who I would say is worth following. He's been in the crypto space a long time. I've got no affiliation with him. I unfortunately don't get time myself to watch content on YouTube. We're a very busy guy. However, I think YouTube and Twitter are some of the best sources to get it. And certainly if you're not already subscribed to this channel, what the hell are you doing? This is becoming the fastest growing crypto channel on the web at the moment, or certainly on YouTube. Massive inflows for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. The interesting thing for me is actually that the Ethereum inflows are more than half of the Bitcoin ones, which is perhaps hinting at a shift. This is, of course, the Bitcoin one, $766 million. This is looking at yesterday's inflows. And this is the Ethereum one, 428. And there's a flow of money that comes into the cryptocurrency space that has largely not been able to do so due to institutions not being or having access to products that will allow them to do that. And we saw that barrier get broken down with Bitcoin. It's been a massive part of Bitcoin's story. As we're seeing the institutionalization of Bitcoin, that journey is we've got a blip on that road. We've only done a few meters in terms of the 1,000 meters that we have to go for institutions to actually start holding Bitcoin and crypto more broadly. Certainly the likes of yield-bearing stablecoins and things like this. That's a very interesting topic. But Bitcoin has obviously gone first. Then we've had an Ethereum ETF, and it's likely we are going to get those large cap ETFs. Obviously, Bitwise have filed to transform their digital large cap fund, which of course we've spoken about. That was one thing when we looked at ETPs. We said they gave us quite a bullish narrative on the altcoin sector as a whole, because ETPs are just to pull it up, essentially a basket of cryptos, and if they're going to do well, the underlying crypto is likely going to do well. So we are seeing a bit of a shift here and a movement towards Ethereum, and actually this is going to end up in the large caps. And the really, I think, amazing prospect for us, as certainly myself more as an altcoin investor, that bet I made on altcoins outperforming Bitcoin this cycle has very much come to fruition now, and we've still got a long way to go in my opinion. But what we're seeing is an appetite for altcoins. This is from Pentoshi talking about the ETH inflows. And how they're essentially more than the months before combined. We're starting to see that uptick. It's going to be interesting to see what CoinShares report is, which we'll be covering with you guys on Monday, so do become a subscriber and look out for that. But we're seeing that sort of inflow into the space take place in live time for institutional projects, and it's not going to be long before your large caps, your Solanas, XRPs, HBARs, Cardanos, BNBs start to get that kind of interaction. BNB, just because I've mentioned BNB and nobody really looks at BNB, but I do believe BNB is actually going to do quite well. Certainly we've been looking at this for a while. We've got this on a 2-weekly time frame, which isn't helping anybody, but this is now triggered, and BNB is likely going to do quite well. Certainly from down here, it was, I don't quite know what the multiples were, 7x, and that's come up significantly. So we are going to see that. There's lots of things that hit on it. All of this happening at the same time when BTC DOM, in my opinion, is now going to start the down legs that we see, accustomed with the kind of stage of the bull market that we're in. You can also look at total 3 divided by BTC. There's a number of things that really hint to, and that wants to go up. BTC DOM wants to come down. There's a number of things that essentially hint to the flow of money starting to come into altcoins. But Bitcoin, of course, is going to have to be doing well during this time period, because Bitcoin dominance coming down doesn't mean Bitcoin's going down. It just means that the altcoins are outperforming, which is an environment that Bitcoin is usually enabling and permissioning as a tide that rides and sinks all ships. So this is really interesting. Massive value proposition again here for us as investors, because ultimately this essentially is going to mean our turn is coming, if you will, when it comes to this market. Big news day actually yesterday. We also have news that Trump has now announced an AI and crypto czar. Now, I don't know how in favor I am for this. Maybe an agency specific for crypto and AI would have been better. But he's announced David Sachs, who of course is one of the hosts of the ALLIN podcast. We have no association. And I think Allincrypto was before the All. I don't know actually. Let's retract that. He's a crypto czar. We don't want to mess with anybody, but actually, by all accounts, he's a great pick. Somebody that's very sort of in the industry, certainly as it relates to AI. This is from Brad Garlinghouse. Huge congratulations to David Sachs on this appointment. He understands tech inside and out, and importantly, will push forward President Trump's crypto and AI pro innovation plans. And people will be trying to sort of figure out what cryptos David is sort of into. This is President Donald Trump. I am pleased to announce that David O. Sachs will be the White House AI and crypto czar. In this important role, David will guide policy for the administration in artificial intelligence and cryptocurrencies, 2 areas critical to the future of American competitiveness. David will focus on making America the clear global leader in both areas. He will safeguard free speech online and steer us away from big tech bias and censorship. Sounds like decentralization. He will also work on legal, and decentralized AI is a massive thing, by the way, legal frameworks so the crypto industry has the clarity it has been asking for and can thrive in the US. David will also lead the Presidential Council of Advisors for Science and Technology. Tall order. David Sachs has been an extremely successful entrepreneur and investor for 25 years, building and investing in some of the most iconic companies in Silicon Valley. He was PayPal's founder, era CEO. Very interesting when you talk about XLM and XRP, part of the legendary PayPal mafia. Certainly when you talk about XLM and Jed McCaleb. Anyway, stop it all in. David then founded enterprise software company Yama, which was acquired by Microsoft for $1.2 billion. It's really sort of highlighting his credentials, and he has a wealth of them. He's somebody you probably should be following at this point because what he says is going to matter. He is the literal advisor to President Trump as it relates to the cryptocurrency market. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it from me. We will see you all in Saturday's Daily Market Update. If you enjoy the content, like us, appreciate it. So as a comment, have a fabulous Friday, and I'll see you all in the next one.